focus on what Americans believe. Americans believe money buys results in Congress. Quote, unquote. 75% of Americans, according to a poll we conducted for the book I published last fall. At that point, it was a bit higher Democrats and Republicans, but I guarantee you before the Republicans took control of the House in 2010, it was just as many Republicans as Democrats. So here it is, folks, the one thing we Americans all believe. Money buys results in Congress. Leading to point number 2, that belief erodes trust in the institution of Congress. ABC and the New York Times found last year that 9% of America had confidence in Congress. 9%. Now, we should put that in context. It is certainly the case at the time of the American Revolution, a higher proportion of Americans had confidence in the British Crown than who have confidence in our Congress today. And that leads to point number 3. This erosion erodes participation in this system. Rock the Vote, which in 2008 organized and turned out the largest number of young voters in the history of voting in America, we still don't have the numbers from this election, found that in 2010 a significant number of their young voters were just not going to show up. So they polled them to ask them why. And the number one reason by far, 2-to-1 of the second highest reason, was no matter who wins, corporate interests will still have too much power and prevent real change. And it's not just kids. The vast majority who could have voted in 2010 did not vote, in part at least because of this belief. And even in this election, 40% did not vote, in part at least, I suggest, because of this belief, corruption. And these are its consequences. Okay, so what's the solution to that corruption? There's a systemic problem here. It is that the funders are not the people. There's a systemic solution to that problem. It is to make the funders the people. To give them away, I know it makes it sound like I mean to give Congress away, and nobody would say Congress, so I don't mean that. But we give Congress one way, to fund their campaigns at least without selling their souls and thereby without alienating America. And the one way, and I think the only way to do this, is to openly and firmly and loudly yell, we believe in citizen-funded campaigns. Now, what is that? Right? These are systems of small dollar-funded campaigns. And at least right now, they're systems where candidates get to opt into a world where they agree to take small dollar-funded contributions only, and the system amplifies those contributions to make it so they can win campaigns never taking large contributions from anybody. Now, there are many versions of this. There's matching grant proposal systems, such as Arizona or Maine or Connecticut. Connecticut adopted their system. In its first year, 78% of the elected representatives were elected using the system where they took small contributions only, never had to take any large contributions, Democrats and Republicans alike. And New York City has a similar system, which now might become the model for the whole of New York State. There are tax credit systems, like Oregon, to give people the ability to contribute small dollars to candidates who take small contributions and then get a credit on their taxes. There are voucher proposals, first proposed by Bruce Ackerman and Ian Ayres. I've described this proposal in my book, Republic Lost, which I call the Grant and Franklin Project, where everybody gets a $50 voucher they can give to any candidate or a part of it to any candidate who agrees that he or she will fund his or her campaign with vouchers only plus contributions of up to $100 from any citizen. So Grant 50, Franklin 100. And I think most importantly now we have the proposal introduced just this week, the American Anti-Corruption Act, which has a tax credit to fund a voucher program of $100 to make it so candidates can opt to take small dollar contributions and have an extraordinary resource and source for those small contributions. Or there are proposals that drop them all together. Congressman Sarbanes